been spending all day yesterday and today preparing for this transmission. You guys are going to love what I have to say. I'm also going to be revealing where these last two gates were and the procedures or the process that the Galactic Alliance engaged in the restoration process of the last two gates. I'm also going to go over the 12 stargates and the geographical regions where they are located. A lot of people have been asking me, well, where are all the 12 stargates? So in today's presentation, I'm going to go over the locations of the 12 stargates, as well as describing what is going to be happening now that we have recuperated all 12 stargates. Before I get started, I want to announce that I will be presenting at the Rise of the Guardians conference coming up this May, right around the corner in a few weeks, on the 8th, 9th, and 10th. I will be taking the stage on the 9th, Saturday, at 4:25 at the Performance Arts Center in Sedona. So for those of you that want to see me on stage in person, please make sure you sign up through the link. Or when you go to the door, if you don't sign up through the link, just say that you're there to see me so that I could get credit. All right. For those of you that are going particularly just to see me. Furthermore, I also want to remind you guys that there is a high demand for this product, and I am aware that half the time the product is not available. So it's based on first come, first serve basis. So if you guys want to get on it, make sure you guys always click the link. I believe Starcadian is always putting the link in the description, or I pin it at the end of the comments. This is nature's natural way of removing the graphene oxide that was enforced in us back in 2020, removing all the other metals that are being sprayed all over our foods, all over the atmosphere, the makeup that women wear. The nanotechnology is everywhere, guys. So this is the product that actually cleanses your body from metals and radiation. And once your body is free from metals and radiation, there is no habitat for the parasites, okay? And therefore, you become a healthier physical being. All right, with no further ado, one last final thing, guys. I wanted to also remind you guys that this event that I'm doing next month is probably going to be my last event in a while. I haven't yet booked any other conferences or expos where I'm going to be attending in person. So, if you guys don't live too far from Arizona, if you guys want to make a trip down from other states, after that event, I am going to retrieve into my cave and hibernate until my books are ready. Okay, I'm going to just go full force in finalizing the two books that I've been working on, Cosmic Destiny and, of course, The Cosmic Origin of Ismael Perez. I would love to have one of those books out by no later than summer, okay? I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for another book to come out. So, again, after this conference, I'm going to act like a bear and hibernate, all right? I'm going to go into my man cave and not make any appearances anywhere for a while. But, of course, I'll still be broadcasting 3 times a week to keep you guys updated on what's happening, not only on this planet, but all over the multiverse. All right. With that having been said, guys, let's talk about what's happened in the last almost 24 hours, okay? As of yesterday morning, roughly around 10 a.m. Pacific time, I got a very important transmission. Actually, today's live was going to be about the M symbol in the palm of the hand, the crescent moon. I was going to go into Rh negative blood as requested, but this is more urgent. So that could wait for another presentation, all right? I haven't forgotten about that. So the galactic transmission that I got comes from the cosmic level of Orvonton Prime. And for those of you that have taken my course, Our Cosmic Origin, you know that Orvonton is the name of the super universe segment that our local universe belongs to. So this is coming from the cosmic level clearance of Orvonton Prime, only accessible for those that are part of the Guardian Alliance. And again, the only reason I have access to this information is because I am a member of the Guardian Alliance, as many of you are, just don't remember. But yes, okay, Guardian Alliance access only, subject the recuperation of the final 2 gates, ensuring the planetary ascension and the first waivers. So we're going to go deep, okay? At the highest levels of the cosmic administration, beyond the visible spectrum of physical intervention, the recuperation of the final two stargates on Earth represents a strategic victory on every level of reality. For those that didn't know, the original Earth came into reality or into existence in the 12th dimension, which is known as the Aramatena Earth, Earth operating at the level of the fourth harmonic universe, dimensions 10, 11, and 12. And ever since then, the Earth has been dropping in frequencies. So what's happening right now, it is a frequency correction event within the living architecture of the planetary body. So according to principles that are reflected within the archives of the galactic records, stargates are not physical, mechanical type of constructs either, okay? They are bioenergetic vortexes embedded within the morphogenetic field of a planet. So each gate, and again, in a little bit, I'm going to be revealing the locations of all 12 gates per your request. Each gate corresponds to dimensional bandwidths, harmonic fields that allow consciousness, matter, and light to interface across multiple densities. Earth as a 12-dimensional time matrix, Earth operates all the way to the 12th dimension, right? There are different layers of the Earth that exist in dimensions 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So Earth's original 12-dimensional time matrix was designed to function as a fully open system. Its gates, the 12 gates, synchronized with the unified crystalline grid that connects different versions of the Earth all the way to the 12th dimension, which is known as the Aramatena Earth. However, during ancient distortion battles between the fallen collectives, which resulted in the distortions of the original planetary template and what the galactic records refer to as the inorganic reversals by Omega Metatron, the AI negative overlord, which cost the grid, the hijacking of the grid several times, most recently during the times of the Anunnaki, of the Anunnaki's takeover of our planet. And so as a result of that, many of these gates were sealed, right? They cut the connection to the other versions of the Earth in these higher dimensions. Many of them were inverted, per se, the 10th gate located underneath Iran. Well, a lot of the gates were inverted, not just that one. And many of the gates were also misaligned. So this resulted in a fragmentation of the Earth's energy body, multidimensional Earth, that was existing all the way to the 12th dimension. So it resulted in fragmentation of the Earth's energy body, restricting 3D Earth from her higher versions or her higher realities. And as a result of that, humanity was also restricted, right? Because we fell in density with the Earth into the 3D. And so as a result, our access to these higher dimensions or higher layers of the Earth, 5D Gaia Earth or Terra Earth, 8D Gaia Earth, 12D Aramatena Earth, became severed. Okay, became severed. Our awareness became disconnected. And a lot of this has a lot to do with their attempt, the fallen ones, to disconnect us from source. Well, now, fortunately for us, all of that has been reversed, okay? The final two stargates also represent the last points of major distortions within the planetary grid. And in a little bit, when you guys find out where these last two gates were located, it's all going to make sense. So, from a metaphysical standpoint, the recuperation is a reclaiming of territory as well as a reharmonic alignment of frequency architecture. The Galactic Alliance, operating in accordance with the Guardian protocols, they don't just take control of these gates in a physical sense, okay? Instead, they begin restoring the original coding that were embedded within the planetary template before the takeover or the reversal. Okay. Are you guys following me here? All right. Some of you guys might have to watch this twice, but it's worth it. This process involved a frequency override that was implemented by several fallen entities, such as Enki, dissolving artificial scalar overlays and reversal fields that were sustaining distortions within the gate system. In addition to that, the template recoding was when they reinstated the original Christos blueprint that connected us to source, the organic way or the organic alignment, also known as source-aligned frequencies that were instructions that were set a long time ago by the guardians that were unfortunately severed and disconnected when they inverted the gates. And in addition to all of this, also this thing called dimensional reconnection is taking place, where they are literally relinking the gates to their corresponding harmonic universes, allowing energy to flow freely across the time matrix. And for those that have not taken our cosmic origin class, the time matrix, the 15-dimensional time matrix, is divided among 5 harmonic universes. And in each harmonic universe, Earth operates at a different level of reality, right? So at the moment of successful recuperation, each gate undergoes what can be described as a plasma ignition event. And that is where dormant light codes are reactivated and begin transmitting coherent energy throughout the entire planetary grid. So, the way this transmission was explained is that the designation cosmic level clearance, where this is coming from, Orvonton Prime, which is the super universe segment that we belong to, have indicated that this operation has been authorized at the level of the local universe administration, whose headquarters is Salvington, right? That is where Michael and his counterpart reside, the Council of 12. So this is what many traditions refer to as the administration, or the Great Council of the Great Central Sun. Okay. Now, for those of you that are aware of the super universe levels of reality, this is beyond our local universe. So our universe is part of a super universe structure that is known as Orvonton. So this is where this information is coming from, all the way from Orvonton. This level of clearance is required when a planetary event has implications not just for a single world, but for the entire harmonic system, all 15 dimensions within 5 harmonic universes. Okay, in order for them to be once again fully aligned, in harmony and in balance, allowing for a free interaction between the different harmonic systems, this needed to happen. So in this framework that is aligned with the guardian races, Earth is the main nodal point within this larger network of not only star systems, universes, but higher harmonic frameworks. When its stargates, we're talking about the Earth's stargates, are compromised, as they've been for the last few thousand years, the distortion reverberates outward, it affecting the stability of the interdimensional pathways across multiple systems. And as a result of that, it was important that the forces of light executed successfully the recuperation of the last 2 gates in order to have a ascension, a reconnecting back to the cosmic current that aligns harmonic universe 1, which is Earth in dimensions 1, 2, and 3, with the other harmonic universes all the way to harmonic universe 5, where the Earth exists in dimensions 10, 11, and 12. Okay, this is what's going to happen. As a result of that, there is going to be, once again, a cosmic alignment between the different harmonic Earths, all the way up to the 12th dimension. So the sealing of previously exploited access points that were used by non-organic service to self systems is what caused harmonic universe 1 to be cut off from the higher harmonic universes. So the restoration of lawful energetic exchange between Earth and higher density civilizations is at hand as a result of this final recuperation. And this is why such a significant operation requires cosmic authority from harmonic universe 4, dimensions 10, 11, and 12, which is at the level of the super universe administration, okay? Because it alters the energetic topology of an entire sector of creation. We're talking about a huge cosmic sector of creation that contains millions of universes. So that's how important the Earth is to the many universes within the super universe of Orvington. So with all 12 stargates that are now restored under the control of the Guardians, Earth's crystalline grid is beginning to function as a unified organism once again with the higher harmonic universes. And even the Ascension Glossary describes that this is the activation of the planetary Cathara grid, a system of energy lines that distribute life force throughout the entire planet. As this grid comes online once again, as it was once during the golden age of Atlantis, as it once during the golden age of Lemuria, Hyperborea, as it comes online again, dormant DNA codes within human beings, this is where it gets good, will begin to receive the higher frequency signals. The veil between dimension will begin to thin and eventually dissolve, allowing for expansion of perception. And that also corresponds with the activation of dormant DNA through the dormant codes, right, that we're going to be receiving, where time itself will become fluid-like for those of us that are part of the first wave of ascension, as linear constructs begin to dissolve into harmonic alignment. So this is also not going to happen instantaneously, all right? This is not an instantaneous transformation. It is a cascading event, my friends, one that unfolds through resonance. As the planetary field begins to stabilize furthermore, individuals who are vibrationally coherent with these new frequencies will begin to experience accelerated awakening. Excuse me. So one of the most significant outcomes of this recuperation is the dissolution of what the galactic records call artificial gatekeeping systems. From ages, access to higher dimensions was controlled through distorted technologies and consciousness traps that rerouted souls into what? Closed time loops, right? Reincarnating over and over in the 3D, in the world of the physical flesh, where, we age, right? That was known as the soul. That was known as, it was a trap. It was a trap that was installed by the fallen angels. With the gates now being restored to the organic function, consciousness is no longer going to be funneled through artificial timelines or funneled back into a 3D reality. This time, the soul is going to be able to regain its natural pathway of ascension. The planetary system will become self-regulating once again when all 12 gates are operating in harmony and in unison with one another. So this is going to mark the end of what is known as external control over the Earth's evolutionary trajectory. The recuperation of the final 2 gates, and I will reveal where these gates were located in a little bit, as well as revealing the geographical location of these 12 gates. So the recuperation of these final two stargates, at its core, is the return to the original design. It is the reestablishment of Earth as a sovereign, living library within the cosmos, fully connected, fully operational, and once again, my friends, aligned with the universal flow of source consciousness. From the perspective of the galactics, this moment represents the transition from a fallen system back into a Christic alignment, which is a state in which all components of the planetary body begin to operate in harmony with the law of one. With the law of one. So what follows is not going to be an external event either to witness. It is going to be an internal transformation to be embodied. So now, you guys, this is where you guys come into the picture, all right? Now that the 12 gates have been recuperated, the spiritual work that we do is going to be accelerating at a greater exponential rate. The internal transformation that is happening within us is going to be it's going to be able to embody more of ourselves in these higher realities. Okay, we're going to be able to download more consciousness, more awareness, more abilities, describing the first waivers. So the gates, when the gates open at the onset of the solar flash, many of you guys are going to be exhibiting superhuman abilities. So this is going to be corresponding to what I've been talking about, the rise of the meta-humans, superhuman, okay? As the planetary grid approaches full restoration, the final two stargates revealed themselves as energetic anomalies, okay? They revealed themselves as energetic anomalies, but in a sense, really, they reveal themselves as strategic strongholds embedded within two of the Earth's most ancient power corridors. Well, here's the revelation of where one of the gates was. Northern Africa, anchored within the Sahara-Nile axis, an original cradle of planetary life forms, distribution, and a primary node in the Earth's crystalline grid. Why was Northern Africa important? Well, because that's where Enki established his settlement. When Enki, the Anunnaki, first came to this planet, his region was the Apsu, which is what we call today Northern Africa, right? That's where they began the gold mining, where the Anunnaki began mining gold. Well, it turns out that that was one of the gates that fell under the control of Enki, okay? The second gate that was recovered by the forces of light was known as the Levantine Gate, situated within the Levant corridor, historically known as the convergent point of civilizations, bloodlines, and interdimensional access routes in the mountains, or rather, I believe it's in the mountains of Lebanon. That's where the Levantine Gate is, Lebanon. Well, that explains why Israel is invading Lebanon, okay? It's not about territory. It's about maintaining control of this gate, the Levantine Gate, which is located in Lebanon, okay? So the first one was located in Africa. That was the first one that they recuperated, okay? This is where Enki first settled. And the second gate is in Lebanon. So the second gate, within the last 24 hours, was also recuperated by the Galactic Alliance, okay? Now, there is more. According to the galactic records, these gates are not isolated portals either. They are major dimensional regulators, controlling the inflow and outflow of consciousness streams between Earth and higher harmonic fields. their fall into distortion was brought upon when, of course, the fallen angels, the negative ETs, took over the affairs of our world. And by the way, I do want to make that correlation for all of my Christian new followers that are just awakening to this higher knowledge. The fallen angels in the Bible, or as described in many of the holy books, are equivalent to what we call today the negative aliens, okay, the regressives. All right, so over extended epochs, these two gates, located in northern Africa, Enki's stronghold, and in Lebanon, became the last operational anchors of a deeply embedded reversal network. And unlike the other gates, and that's why Israel is last, by the way, unlike the other gates that had been partially reclaimed, these remained actively control zones by Anunnaki forces that were still controlling our world in the underground, in those regions. Beneath these regions, okay, let's go deeper here. Beneath these regions where they recuperated these two gates that are hidden in subterranean layers, unbeknownst to the surface dwellers, there existed advanced hybridization programs that were designed to interface directly with the gate frequency. So these programs that have been often described in metaphysical records as insectoid, gray, human hybrid constructs were not just experimental life forms. They were created by Enki and the Anunnaki that have been in control of our planet for thousands of years. They were created as the gatekeepers of the distorted frequency fields. All right, so this is all happening underneath Lebanon, underneath Israel, underneath Africa, okay? They were also known as living conduits for artificial intelligence overlays. A lot of these unauthorized genetic experiments, mixing insectoid DNA with gray DNA, human DNA, reptilian DNA, and artificial intelligence, some of them had nanites, were operating as living conduits for artificial intelligent overlays, working for the AI overlord. In other words, they were sent here by the AI overlord, or they were instructed by the AI overlord to maintain an openness so that the artificial intelligences that are coming from other universes, right, the negative AI, could eventually invade our world. In addition to all of this, guys, there were some biological anchors that were also maintaining inversion currents within the gates. And again, a lot of this has to do with this unauthorized genetic experiments that resulted in these hybrids that were working or existing in deeper layers of the earth, subterranean facilities, subterranean regions, rather. According to the higher intelligences, these constructs were actually being prepared for deployment. We're talking about these hybrids, right? A combination of insectoid, gray, human, reptilian, and nanites. Frankenstein, if you ask me, right? They created monsters. Well, they were intended, believe it or not, guys, to eventually go to the surface world and to begin eating humans and taking over the surface population. But that timeline was obviously canceled. And that would have actually happened if the forces of light didn't go in those underground regions and cleaned house. Thank God, okay? So again, they were intending to extend control beyond the underground networks into the surface world, bringing about a world type of, dominance over the human species, okay? So that was one of the negative timelines that was apparently canceled as a result of recuperating the last remaining stargates. Yes, please. Within this scenario, the orchestration of these hybrid programs that were still in effect right, unbeknownst to the surface world, is attributed to the faction of the Anunnaki that were associated with Enki, because they well knew, that, well, let me back up a little bit. Okay, so they were associated with the faction that is corresponding to the Enki faction, right, to the master geneticists, and they were also known as the architects of all of the altered genetics and all of the altered genetic experiments that were conducted by the fallen angels, okay, the fallen collectives. Thank you. Which apparently were energetic systems that were operating outside of the organic divine blueprint. Okay, so they were going against the organic divine blueprint. As the planetary frequency begins to rise, my friends, these systems are facing imminent collapse. And that explains why the Galactic Alliance were able to locate them and find out exactly where they were. And then, of course, eliminate them. Otherwise, again, they were getting ready to have these hybrids, insectoid gray, reptilian human with nanites, invade the surface world. Okay? So in response, preparations were underway to activate the hybrid constructs on a broader scale, effectively releasing them into the planetary field as the last effort to reinforce control grids through biological integration, disrupt the awakening process by amplifying distorted patterns, maintain access to the stargates through embedded resonance systems. And so this escalation is what elevated the situation to cosmic level clearance. But again, I was able to access that to give you guys pretty much a rundown on how it all began and how it happened and why it needed to happen. All right. We were about to get invaded by these freaking Frankenstein hybrids type of species. All right. Furthermore, the Northern African, as well as the Levantine Gate located in Lebanon, were the last remaining points of control for these negative forces. They were also keystone nodes. And if fully activated under distorted systems, they would have reestablished a closed loop energy system across the entire planetary grid, cutting us off from the Galactus, cutting us off from the cosmic energy current, and once again bringing our planet into the Dark Ages. Okay, that's what their agenda was. It was also going to allow the non-organic frequencies to reassert dominance over an entire gate network. And last but not least, they were going to delay or fracture the ascension timeline by reintroducing the artificial inorganic pathway. In other words, they were going to get ready to once again install a false trap, giving us a sense of ascension, but really recycling us into the inorganic cybernetic timeline. Okay, so that was part of their agenda. Thus, the Galactic Alliance intervention was critical at this moment because they were getting ready to do so. Okay, now, all right, this operation that took place within the last 24 hours, for those that are jumping on, I'm talking about the recuperation of the last two gates, one being in Northern Africa, where Enki established a stronghold and was still conducting, well, not him, but those that he left behind. As you guys know, Enki went off somewhere else. But those that were left behind that were still Anunnaki were still creating unauthorized hybrids, okay? So, yeah, we're talking about that. So let's continue here. This operation was about restoring the frequency back to the Earth that was in alignment with the original divine blueprint. So rather than engaging in direct confrontation as understood in physical terms, the Galactic Alliance executed a multi-layered frequency override. And what that means is that they were able to penetrate the grid through high-frequency light codes. They bombarded it with high-frequency light codes. They were able to introduce into the planetary field, bypassing surface-level distortions and reaching the core of the gates themselves. All right, so I'm giving you guys a step-by-step methodology in which the Galactics were able to secure the gates. The second thing that they did is regarding the hybrid system collapse. We're talking about these Frankenstein nasty beings that they were creating underneath that region. The bioenergetic constructs sustaining the distortion fields began to destabilize as the resonance of these creatures or hybrids, could no longer match the incoming frequencies, so they begin to break down. Okay, the Galactics don't just fight like the super soldiers do, or like combat, ways of fighting, right? Boxing, shooting. No, they do it through frequency. Okay, they do it by what? By bombarding it with higher frequencies, right? That ultimately destabilize the resonance field that is no longer a match for these species to begin having internal combustions. So that's how they were able to collapse the hybrid program that was operating underneath those regions. And in addition to that, there is this thing called consciousness extraction. What is consciousness extraction? Where possible, the fragmented consciousness within these hybrids were disengaged from the artificial programming, and they were redirected into neutral or rehabilitative fields. In other words, they were deprogrammed from their original program, which was to destroy. Okay. And not to mention, also, in addition to that, there is this thing called the gate reclamation. And that is with the supporting systems dissolved, the gates themselves were now recoded to the original harmonic alignment, restoring their function within the crystalline unified grid. So the turning point in all of this is that the moment that these two gates were restored marked a very definitive shift. The planned release of these hybrid constructs was apparently dismantled and neutralized, thank God. All right? By rendering them what? Capable of operating anymore in that environment. They were incompatible with the frequency. All right? Without the distorted gate frequencies, the system. Okay, let me just explain it like this. Without the distorted gate frequency that was used to sustain them, the entire system lost coherence. And this is how they were able to defeat these hybrids, okay? So, it is important to understand that distortion cannot survive within a field of sustained coherence. Distortion cannot survive within a field of sustained coherence. So with the gates restored, the planetary field itself became very inhospitable to the inversion-based systems. Now, so in terms of the planetary implications, this successful recuperation of the Northern African gates and the Levantine gate results in this, a complete liberation of the planetary gate network, all 12. And again, in a little bit, I'm going to be revealing the geographical locations of the 12 gates. Also, with this successful recuperation of these last two gates, it will also result in permanent closure of major distortion pathways, which ultimately collapses all timelines into the positive timeline. In addition to that, prevention of large-scale hybrid deployment scenarios and full activation of the Earth's organic ascension architecture. So, the grid is no longer fragmented as a result of the final recuperation of these last two gates. It is now beginning to work as a unified, coherent grid that is once again going to be reconnected and aligned with source. And this is all going to lead to the activation of the 12 gates, the 12 Meridian time warps, whatever you want to call it, right? Allowing for a facilitation of Earth into harmonic universe 2, into harmonic universe 3, 4, and 5 ultimately. So, what was once a last barrier to planetary liberation is now being restored to the original purpose. The Northern African Gate, as soon as it begins to distribute the life force currents across the entire planetary body as it connects to the other 11 gates, as well as the Levantine Gate located in Lebanon, as soon as it reopens the corridor between the Earth, right, by activating all the 12 Meridian time warps, the 12 gates, it's going to allow the Earth to once again reharmonize with the higher harmonic systems. So this is how the ascension takes place, my friends. And this is the reason why I tell you guys that some of us are going to go beyond the 5D Earth, all right? Some of us are going to go into 6, 7, or 8D Earth, existing in harmonic universe 3. That is known as the Gaia Earth, or also known as Avion Earth, the original Earth, right? The original home planet of the Lyrans. It's still existing in harmonic universe 3, known as the Gaia Earth, the original Earth. And then some of you are going to be able to go into the Aramatena Earth, which is harmonic universe 4, dimensions 10, 11, and 12. That's what this means, guys. And that's how ascension is possible. So, the hybrid systems that depended on distortions have apparently lost their foundation, thanks to the Galactic and the Guardians. The timeline that they were meant to sustain has completely collapsed. And this was not just a recovery operation. It was the final severing of an artificial control structure that spun ages. And with it, the path forward is no longer contested. It is now becoming clear. In addition to all of this, guys, Earth's Stargate system is a 12-point Cathar grid, which is a living energetic network that connects the planet to all 12 dimensions of the time matrix, right? All the way to harmonic universe 4, dimensions 10, 11, and 12. And so each gate is a frequency node, a dimensional interface with a unique function. With the full restoration of the grid, including the Levant, Lebanon, Abaddon, Iran, and of course, Northern Africa, the planetary system is now ready to return to full operational coherence with every dimensional layer of the Earth all the way to the 12th dimension. All right. Gate number 1. You guys want to know where these gates are, right? Gate number 1 is actually located in Arizona. And this is why I'm here. I am situated in Gate 1, which is a huge intergalactic hub for many different species. I keep looking out the window to see if I see any ships or craft as I'm talking about this. All right, Sedona. So that's gate number 1. Its function is that it operates, or it has operated, as an Earth anchor portal between galactics and Earth-based alliances. It turns out that one of these red rocks that surround me, underneath one of these red rocks, is a huge base for the Alliance. Okay? So there's no coincidence that I moved out here. So that's gate 1. The grounding point of the planetary body, where the soul streams enter physical reality and anchor into matter. Gate 1. That's its function. Gate 2 is in Florida. It's known as the Gate of the Waters. Now, they weren't able to exactly tell me where the physical location was, but what they did say is that Gate 2, known as the Gate of the Waters, is associated with emotions, the subconscious regulator that stabilizes collective emotional fields, and governs the planetary water consciousness. So that's gate 2. Gate 3, Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle, its function is that it acts as a time-space corridor, a multi-dimensional vortex that is regulating time anomalies and interdimensional travel. Well, that explains why a lot of ships, both aircraft and boats, disappear when they get too close to this gate. It's not that they're disappearing, they're just going through a portal, an active portal that was never turned off after the fall of Atlantis. It was left activated. So yes, gate 3 has been activated or active ever since. And that explains the strange anomalies that take place when aircraft flies over gate 3, the Bermuda Triangle, or when ships and boats are, floating through that region. That explains why they disappear. They just go into another dimension. Okay, so gate 4 is the Giza Pyramid. Giza Pyramid. And its function, it's known as the Gate of Ra in Giza. Its function is that it is a stellar alignment and a cosmic memory that connects the Earth to higher star systems and stores ancient knowledge within the grid. The 5th gate is the Gate of the Sun, Machu Picchu, Peru. The 5th gate, the Gate of the Sun, Machu Picchu, Peru. Its function is that it acts as a solar frequency activation, channel solar codes that stimulate DNA activation and higher consciousness. Gate number 6 is in northern Africa, which is one of the last 2 gates that were recuperated. It is also known as the Gate of Atlas, the Sahara-Nile axis. Function, life force distribution node, a major power center that distributes prana, living life force, across an entire planetary grid. And this gate was one of the finals to be recuperated, as mentioned earlier, due to its central role in sustaining planetary ascension. So, the 7th gate is known as the Gate of the Andes, and it is located in Lake Titicaca. That's his region. And its function is that it's the divine feminine restoration portal that holds the codes for the rebalancing of masculine and feminine energies on the earth. The 8th gate is known as the Gate of the Dragon in Xizan, China. Xizan, X-I, separate word A-N, Xizan. I don't know if that's spelled right. X-I-A-N, China, okay? Its function, ley line stabilizer. It maintains the structural integrity of the Earth's energy meridians and, of course, geomagnetic fields. The 9th gate. The 9th gate is known as the Gate of Shambhala, and this is located in Tibet, the Gate of Shambhala. The 9th gate functions as the crown chakra of the Earth. It's ascension portal that connects the Earth directly to higher dimensional realms, hence the 12th dimensional Earth layers, and facilitates spiritual awakening. That is known as the Gate of Shambhala in Tibet, gate number 9. And of course, you guys know where gate number 10 is, right? That is the Gate of Abaddon, Iran, also known as the Persian Corridor. The dimensional axis central node, that is its function, which was one of the most critical gates in the entire network. This gate governs interdimensional axis permissions, gate-to-gate synchronization, control over major off-world corridors, and so its distortion allowed for artificial systems, especially those that are coming in from negative AI, to regulate access to the entire planetary grid. Its restoration dismantled the centralized control over dimensional entry points. Gate number 11 is the Levant, Israel-Lebanon, also known as the Syria Corridor. The Levant, Levant, Gate of the Levant, Israel/Lebanon. And this explains why Israel keeps trying to invade Lebanon. I mean, that's been going on for years. Well, see, now you guys understand the real reasons as to what's happening on different layers, deeper layers, right? Not just the surface. So the function of this gate, the Lebanon-Israel gate, is genetic lineage and timeline convergence gate. This is one of the final gates that required recuperation. So that was one of the final two, as mentioned earlier. The Levant gate also functions as a convergence point for ancient bloodlines and genetic templates. It is also a timeline integration hub where multiple historical and future timelines begin to intersect. And last but not least, it is also a gateway regulating soul lineages, or soul lineage memory rather, in planetary history encodings. And due to its unique role, it became a focal point for control systems that have been attempted to manipulate both genetics and timelines simultaneously. Its restoration, thank God, which happened within the last 24 hours, the last two gates, the Levant, Israel, Lebanon gate, and of course, Northern Africa. Its restoration, guys, is essential because it severed control over lineage-based manipulation systems. It collapsed all distorted timeline overlays, and it reactivated the Earth's organic evolutionary blueprint. And the final gate, gate number 12, is in England, Stonehenge, England, the Val region, also known as the Gate of Albion, Albion. Its function is the planetary heart grid and harmonic balancer. It distributes coherent frequencies across the Earth, maintaining balance within the entire system. So the unified system, the Cathara grid, as explained by the Ascension Glossary, with all 12 gates now restored, including gate number 6, Northern Africa, the life force distribution is now getting ready to circulate freely once again. Gate number 10, Abadan, Iran, dimensional control. Gate number 11, Levant, timeline and genetic convergence. So now the entire planetary system is now going to be functioning as a unified 12-point harmonic grid. So, according to the Ascension Glossary, and as confirmed by the Galactic Records, this is a state known as the full Cathara activation, when all energy centers operate in synchronized coherence with source. That's what that means, a full Cathara activation. When all energy centers, all 12, begin to operate in synchronized coherence with source. So what this means now, Galactic Jedis, is that the implications of this full restoration is now very profound. That's what that means. It's profound because the planetary grid is no longer fragmented as it was prior to the last 24 hours. Artificial control systems that have been tied to these gates have been collapsed, thank God. Humanity's connection to the higher dimensions has been fully restored. The ascension timeline is now locked into coherence. The ascension timeline is now locked into coherence. And yes, my friends, today is the 11th of April, and we are still on a positive timeline trajectory. And speaking about the 11th of April, well, today is a very important day for me and my girlfriend, Monica, who is actually viewing this from our bedroom on her phone. Today's her birthday. Yeah, you're welcome. Happy birthday. So I just wanted to give her a public shout out and let you guys know that today is Monica's birthday. So happy birthday. Happy birthday, Monica. I just wanted to throw that out there. All right. What else? What else? I see you're getting a lot of love in the chat. A lot of happy birthday, Monicas. Thank you guys so much for being so generous. I appreciate that. All right. Most importantly, guys, the Levant gate. I can't ever say that word. The Levant gate, the gate in Israel, Lebanon. Its restoration ensures that timeline manipulation and genetic interference systems can no longer operate through that corridor. That's what that means. So the final transmission is this. The 12 gates are now fully aligned thanks to the Galactic Alliance and the Guardian races. The grid is whole. The control systems have fallen, and the Earth is no longer a closed system. It is once again a fully activated gateway world within the cosmic network. And that is the greatest news ever, 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 ever. I am so happy. I've been waiting for the recuperation of these last two gates. And you know what, guys? They weren't even telling me the location of these gates until, of course, I received the transmission yesterday at around 10, 11 a.m. in the morning. That was fascinating. Because, for weeks now, as I've been talking about these last two gates, I've been trying to ask Commander Thor, please give me the location of the gates. And he goes, until we fully recuperate those last two gates, Ishmael, I cannot disclose where these gates are and the procedure, the process in restoring these gates. I cannot disclose that until the job is complete. And I was like, all right, I'll be patient because the Galactic Jedis have been asking me, where are these last two gates? Well, now you know why Israel keeps invading Lebanon, right? Again, guys, a lot of these wars that have been incurred by our Earth governments have different layers, okay? A lot of these wars have mostly been about controlling the gates, controlling what comes in and out, controlling the energy distribution of the planet, controlling the closed system that we've been in, right? Not allowing us to go beyond the human level, right? The trap, the reincarnation trap. Think about that. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. And again, I want to wish Monica a happy birthday in front of everyone. I see all the birthday wishes. Everyone's saying happy birthday. Not everyone, most people are. I do want to welcome all 3,300 people that are in the house. Thank you guys so much for being here. And while I'm at it, I also want to give a few shout outs. What's up, honey? Aw.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, happy birthday. All right. Before I give these shout outs, I do want to thank Susan K for her donation. Thank you so much. And all right, let's give some shout outs really quick. All right. Who is here? Who is here? Melchizedek Lives. What a name. Melchizedek Lives is in the house. Starlight. Cassandra Lee is in the house. TR is in the house, or TK, sorry, TK is in the house. D. Otros Mundos is in the house. Nonconformist Cave is in the house. And if that is Kevin, thank you so much for the gifts Monica received today via our mailing address. I appreciate that, brother. And she liked it a lot. Thank you. And for those that want to know my mailing address, it is 1771 West State Route 89A, Unit B. Unit B. Did I get it right? Yeah, Unit B or Suite B, Box 3015, Sedona, Arizona 86336. So if you guys ever want to mail me anything, I do have a mailing address. All right. Furthermore, I still feel like I'm giving the presentation. All right. Who else is in the house? Shelly 8032 in the house. She wished you a happy birthday. Laura, thank you for your super chat. I will. Oh, no question. She's just giving a super chat. Thank you. That was generous of you, Laura. Christine is in the house. Scott Lewis is in the house. Jackie Santana is in the house. I'm trying to call out people that I normally don't call. Who else is in the house? Soul Rod 790. How you doing, Soul Rod? Welcome. You are in the house. Jedi Oz 9. Jedi Oz 9. Welcome. You are in the house. And one more person. Joshua 333. Joshua, thank you. Thank you for wishing Monica a happy birthday. Alrighty, let's now take Q&A. And yes, guys, I'm going to be giving you guys Q&A till about an hour and 30 minutes. So we have about 26 minutes of Q&A. Let's go. All right, first question. First question coming from Orvion Awakened. How you doing, Orvion? My job is moving me to Sedona, Arizona. Great. Well, this is where the first gate is, as revealed in today's presentation. With all the gates now, does this mean it's time to leave 3D? No, it's time to integrate other dimensions, higher realities with 3D. One of the things that I wanted to share with you guys, and again, I had a full-blown conversation with Commander Valiant Thor regarding ascension and when it happens. When we ascend, it's not that we are leaving the 3D. Ascension means reintegration. Ascension means to connect and collapse heaven and earth, spirit and matter. Are you guys following me here? Okay. So the whole purpose of ascension is to reconnect back to 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10, 11, and 12 dimensions. That is the end game of ascension. So the 3D will still be here. I was told that the 3D is not going anywhere. It's just going to be purged and cleansed. It's going to be renewed. It's going to be a level of reality that still sustains mammalian life forms, second dimensional life forms, and of course, first dimensional life forms. Okay. We're talking about the consciousness of plants, the consciousness of minerals, the consciousness of elements. The 3D, in order to have a full integrated 15-dimensional time matrix, right? Eternity connected to physicality. The 3D is going to be what's going to ground us into what we called the lower dimensions 1, 2, and 3. So through the 3D, we're going to be able to integrate and spiritualize it in the new earth. So yes, the 3D is still going to be here, but it is going to be spiritualized, right? This is what many call a physical heaven on earth, right? Garden of Eden. Well, believe it or not, guys, one of the reasons why we volunteered or why we came from the future, higher dimensions, is not only to assist in the ascension of planet Earth, but to make the earth and the physical plane of reality, right, eternal. It's what they call in the esoteric knowledge the spiritualization of matter, where matter becomes eternal, just like the etheric plane of reality and just like the celestial plane of reality. Capiche? Capiche. All right, let's continue. So, more questions. Kathleen says, fantastic presentation. Thank you, Kathleen. No, I don't know this Olive Bar Jones. I do know Elizabeth April. Yes, I met her 2 years ago. We've been on one panel together, I believe. And so I know who she is. And, she's great. All right. I had a chance to talk to her 2 years back to back at the Conscious Life Expo. I was introduced to her husband. I was introduced to her dad. And we click, So she is our friend. In other words, she is a friend of me and Monica. So, yeah, we do know Elizabeth April. I don't know the other guy, though. I've never met that Aldbar Jones, whatever his name is. I've never met him before. I've not, and I've never even heard of him, to be honest with you guys. All right. Are spirit guides the same entities as our guardian angels? Yes, absolutely. No. We as humans are all born with 3, or sometimes some of us have legions of spirit helpers, from ancestors to spirit guides to angels, ascended beings, galactic emissaries, animal helpers. Okay, some of us walk with legions of these invincible helpers that have been assigned to us since we were born. One of the things that I've come to uncover, okay, is that when we work with certain spirit guides or with certain galactic beings, ascended masters, we're actually working with different versions of ourselves in these higher realities. So a lot of these spirit guides, a lot of these guardian angels are different fractals of you. They're different versions of you. I know this sounds like it's way out there, but you have to understand that everything in reality, every dimension, every plane, every level of existence is interconnected. So what we are down here is a fractal of our vast consciousness that is still operating as angels, archangels, galactic beings, spirit guides, ancestors. Does that make sense? Ultimately, guys, all of those beings collapse into the oversoul, which is what we are once we reach the 12th dimension. Does that make sense? All right. So when we have help from our spirit guides, we're actually being helped by different version of ourselves because they are part of our oversoul. All right. They are part of our oversoul. Good question. And thank you for the super chat. More super chats. And by the way, I after the super chats, I answer just random questions. So for those of you that never give super chats, you know, I have over 3,000 people, over 2,600 people most of the time online when I'm going live. You know how fast the chat goes? So if I don't get to your question, don't think I just answer the super chats. I have to answer the super chats first and foremost because those are people, you know, paying to get their questions answered. But as soon as I'm done with the super chats, I always like to just take random questions. So I try to be fair with everyone, okay? But also, mind you that I have over 3,000 people on the live. So the next question is coming from Rick Morrison. Thank you so much for your super chat. My quantum healer is removing Archon DNA, bringing in mRNA, divine source DNA to remove sickness that was installed in Archon DNA we all have. Thoughts? Well, it sounds to me like your quantum healer is part of the team and doing her job in the removal of Archon DNA that was, again, that was injected in people back in 2020, if you guys know what I mean. The graphene oxide, guys, the graphene oxide is connected to Archon demonic entities, okay? Those nanobots were supposed to take over your body. But again, there was a massive divine intervention, right? Otherwise, we would have had a zombie apocalypse. So it sounds to me like this quantum healer is one of many that are part of the ground crew whose sole purpose and function or job here is to remove Archon DNA. And some of you guys are grid workers. Some of you guys help to restore the ley lines, right? Some of you guys are Reiki masters. Some of you guys are shamans. We all have different roles to play in the ascension. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Ricky Morrison. I appreciate that. All right. More questions. Thank you so much, Anna, for your super chat. She says, are we still going to have these timelines or will we have only one positive timeline since excuse me, the 12 stargates have been recovered? Second part of the question. When the 12 stargates connect to source, will that activate the first waivers? Yes. Or I guess I'm answering your questions in reverse. Yes, when the 12 stargates connect to source, as stated in my presentation, that will activate for those that have done the inner work, those that are already in Christ consciousness. Absolutely. The first part of your question. No, the trifurcation of timelines still has to exist for a period of 1,000 years. Because at the end of the 1,000 years, there will be one final battle against Omega Metatron, Enki, the Animus, the Mitra collective negative AI groups, in which will result in their defeat, okay? Because we've already won that war, by the way. Spoiler, we did win that war. So to answer your question is no, the trifurcation still needs to happen. Because unfortunately, there is a group, a collective on Earth that is literally, and I'm talking about those that are billionaires, you know, that are aligning with technocratic tendencies. They are already aligning with artificial intelligence. They are already becoming cyborgs. So because of those actions, there will be a technocratic dystopian timeline. All right, next question. All right, PPs124, super chat. Happy birthday, Monica. Thank you, thank you. Sun Lemon, thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you for your work, Ishmael. You are welcome. LCD, thank you so much for your super chat. Our spirit guides, okay, the same entities. I've already answered that. All right, next super chat is Peaceful Warrior. Thank you so much for your super chat. Hi, Ishmael. 3 questions. What is the point of knowing this galactic updates for us on Earth? How can we help? How can we help? Also, I heard that the archons on the 4th dimension, if that is true, how can we deal with them in that dimension? All right, well, this is a 4-part question. Let me go with the first. By sharing this information that I share, galactic transmissions, it's supposed to help you guys remember, first and foremost. It's supposed to help you guys understand where we are at in the ascension process. So there are multiple benefits of sharing this information, okay? Overall, it keeps you informed. Okay? The second part of your question. So how can we help? Very simple. By doing the work, by clearing your emotions, your wounds, by collapsing the polarity duality within you, reaching Christ consciousness, by grounding, by simply grounding, you are a conduit of cosmic energies and earth energies. So that's how you could do the work. And then the third part of your question. The archons have been restricted to the lower 4th dimension, not the higher 4th dimension. When we sleep, we astral travel, right? Well, when we astral travel, we mainly go into the higher 4th density, or the higher layers of the 4th density, the astral realm. The archons have been restricted to the lower part of the 4th density, okay, which is the lower astral realm. Upon the ascension of the earth, that lower astral realm will be fully purged and cleansed. In other words, there will be no more archons operating within the positive organic timeline on any level of reality, on any dimension. The astral will be fully, the lower astral realm, right, lower 4D, will be fully purged. Okay? All right, next question. All right, this is coming from Voodoo Don. What a long, interesting name. Well, thank you for the super chat. These data centers are being rushed. Some people are saying the inside looks like prisons. Is there more than meets the eye? Are these people harvesting centers? If you're talking about the AI centers, Project Stargate, those are all going to be part, and they're going to be going into the negative timeline. Again, smart cities, wetware, sensors, chips, implants, synthetic parts, microchipping, all of that is part of the technocratic dystopian timeline. I don't think any of you guys have to worry about ending up there, okay? When the trifurcation takes place due to the flash, those realities won't exist anymore in our positive timeline, all right? They're not going to exist. Right now, they are apparently coexisting, right? Right now, there are 12 prominent timelines, and I believe I've already revealed those. 6 negative, 6 positive, that ultimately collapse into 3. All right, next question. You guys are asking so many good questions tonight. All right, I'm just going to now take random questions to show you guys that I also answer random questions. All right, this is coming from, does anybody have questions for me? I'm just going through the chat, over 3,000 people. What is meant by Israel is last? Okay, I just answered a random question from Skyberg. Well, years ago, when the Great Awakening began back in 2000 and what, 15, 16, right? Beginning with the Q drops, beginning with WikiLeaks. The Q operation told us that in the process of eliminating the cabal, that Israel was going to be saved for last. In other words, a lot of this corresponds with the recent recuperation of that Stargate. And for those that didn't know, BB was actually taken out a few weeks ago, right? The BB that we see now is an AI. It is what they call deep fake. It is not the real BB. So in that regard, Israel is now falling. Okay. So again, this was a statement that was first revealed through the Q drops back in 2016, that Israel would be saved for last. All right, next question. Yes, the gate one is out in the mountains northwest of Sedona. That is correct. Absolutely. But it is connected to the land of the vortexes here. Thank you so much, Loma, for your super chat. Thank you so much, Brenda, for your super chat. You guys are being so generous today. Is it because it's my girlfriend's birthday, Monica's birthday? Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Oh, and by the way, guys, I do have a Zelle, okay? Through my email, projectrestorationzion@gmail.com. Through my email, projectrestorationzion@gmail.com, I do receive donations through Zelle. For those that are interested in supporting my cause. And I do want to thank Inanna Shapiro for her donation. Thank you so much. Oh, and while we are on this topic, I found out by one of my friends that there is an imposter out there who created an email, and the email is the real Ismael Perez email. That is a thief. That is an imposter that is trying to reach out to my fans asking for donations. So if you guys get an email from the real Ismael Perez email, don't buy into it, all right? That is an imposter that is pretending to be me, trying to ask for donations. I never email people for donations, all right? I don't even use social media just when I need to post. So just have to be aware of that, all right? I don't email people for donations. I don't DM people for donations. The only time I ask for donations is on a live like this, okay? And then I provide the actual Zelle address, projectrestorationzion@gmail.com. That is the only time I would ask, okay? Never through an email, always on a live chat. Just be aware of that. So if you guys are getting emails from the real Ismael Perez email, that is an imposter. Block and report as soon as possible. I just wanted to throw that out there. All right, next question. Thank you so much, Holly, for the super chat. I appreciate that. All right, this is a question from Jose Mendez. Ishmael, is the gate in the Bermuda Triangle near the Crystal Pyramid underwater near Puerto Rico? Yes, there are many pyramids that we are unaware of, guys. A lot of these pyramids are in the ocean. So to answer your question, Jose, yes, the Bermuda Triangle Pyramid is located near the Crystal Pyramid by Puerto Rico. That is very close to there. Absolutely, that is correct. Hey, Ishmael, is the Alberta independence movement in Canada all organic or a white-hat operation, as it is going really well? Yes, absolutely. That is all organic, and that is part of a way to overthrow the tyranny or the oppression in Canada. That is correct. Absolutely. Is Mount Shasta a special place? Is asking Cook's menu. Cook's menu. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, it is because it houses the ancient civilization of Telos, which are remnants of Lemurian survivors. So yeah, Mount Shasta is also a special place. Thank you so much, Son Lemming, for your super chat. Blessings on your new book. You are welcome. Speaking about a new book, as mentioned, guys, not only am I working on a book that is going to take our cosmic origin to the next level, Cosmic Destiny, but I'm also working on my own personal life, you could say, the story of my life, everything that I've been through, all my experiences as a child, teenagers, when I was in my 20s, you name it. And this book is called The Cosmic Origin of Ismael Perez. And so for the last 3 months, I've only been taking 20 people where I'm already reading the chapter, and it's an interactive webinar where you guys get to talk about certain things that resonated. You guys get to give your own feedback. It lasts for about 90 minutes. And so this coming 26, I believe I'm doing chapter 3 of The Cosmic Origin of Ismael Perez. So for those that want to sign up, again, this is only restricted to 20 people only. I like to keep this webinar or this special online event very intimate. That's why I only keep it for 20 people. So it's called The Search for Knowledge, this one, in my website. April 26th is coming up in the next week and a half or two. And there's only 3 spots, a couple spots left. So there's only 2 spots left. So again, if you guys want to be one of those 20 individuals and get to access the 3rd chapter on an interactive webinar, please go to my website, our cosmicorigin.com, and click on The Search for Knowledge with Ismael Perez, April 26th. It's coming up quick. Only 20 people. First come, first serve. All right, let's continue. Thank you so much, Mika J, for the $50 donation. Thank you so much. All right, next super chat. Or no super chats. Random question. Should we make the rod and the ring strike fam? The rod and the ring. Are you talking about this little thing that I have behind me? That is a symbol of the rod of God, right? This is the thunderbolt of Indra, Krishna, and Zeus. This is the way the guardians of old, through the rods of God, would defeat the fallen angels. Yeah, this is fascinating, right? You know, I believe that in the Positive Earth timeline, some of you guys are going to have access to the rods of God, the thunderbolt. This is awesome, huh? You guys could see that. That was a gift from my girlfriend. All right, let's continue here. Yes, it is called a double Vajra. That is correct. That's what it is known in India, and it was also used by the Indian guardians, right? Krishna, and some of the Indian gods that were guardians of India in ancient times. And then, of course, we know Zeus of ancient Greece used it. Cosmic Destiny release date. Oh, probably by the end of the year. Ishmael, could we affect the photon belt? No. Could we be the effective photon belt, amplifying or activating through portals and stargates? Yes, we are. As the Earth, or rather the solar system, enters the photon belt, we are the ones that activate, you could say, activate through our light body. We amplify the activation of the 12 stargates. Well, they go hand in hand. The 12 stargates activate our dormant DNA. And in turn, when we activate the dormant DNA, we activate the stargates. So it happens simultaneously at the same time. Is the GFL, or GLF rather, Galactic Federation Station, on YouTube giving broadcasts from Ashtar and others. Is that legit? I would say perhaps you, but always use your discernment when it comes to listening to other galactic information. Peaceful Warrior, thank you so much for your super chat. And my phone is about to die. Where is that one plug? Here it is. All right, he says, hi again. I have been drawn to the Bahamas lately, as well as Sedona. I don't know why, but is there anything spiritual significance to Bahamas? Well, as mentioned earlier, the Bahamas are pretty close to the Stargate in the Bermuda Triangle. So that's probably the reason you're attracted to the Bahamas, right?
It also has 6D energy.
What?
The Bahamas have 6D energy.
Well, my girlfriend just told me that the Bahamas are being bombarded with 6D energy.
No, they have 6-dimensional energy.
Oh, the Bahamas have 6-dimensional energies. Okay, she wanted me to share that with you guys. Also, the next part of your question, I don't know why, but is there anything spiritual significance to Sedona or Bahamas? Yeah, 6-dimensional energy. It's close to the Stargate located in the Bermuda Triangle. And then, as mentioned, Sedona is also part of the first Stargate. Well, the mountains near Sedona. So that's probably the reason why you are drawn to those two places. Makes a lot of sense. Who is Enlil? Thank you so much, Erico, for your super chat. Is he good or bad? There seems to be a mixed opinions on him. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the people that modified and re-edited the Sumerian tablets made him look like the bad guy, and they made Enki look like the good guy. So everything was inverted, everything from the Sumerian tablets to the Egyptian Book of the Dead to the Emerald tablets to the holy books. It was all inverted, my friends. But according to the original records, Enlil was Zeus to the Egyptians, no, to the Greeks, sorry. And he was also known as Indra to the Indians, people of India, of ancient India. So he was apparently the good guy. He was guardian of the earth, and he always went against Enki's attempt to corrupt the original divine blueprint, right? The original 12-strand DNA atom, right? And Enki's attempt to create chimeras, right? Hybrid programs that were unauthorized, right? Mixing insectillion, gray genetics and creating monster species. Well, Enki's also the one who created the typhoon, the three-headed beast, the Leviathan. I mean, he created a lot of monsters in ancient times. So, in other words, Enki is the bad guy. Enlil-Zeus was the good guy. He was the one that was guardian of the earth in ancient times. All right, one final question, and then I am going to close the live. Ish, can you speak on Mintaka? Well, Mintaka existed in Orion. It was part of the it is part of what they call the Belt of Orion. It was the watery world before it was destroyed. So a lot of the dolphins, a lot of the mermaids, right, both male and female, lived in Mintaka. In fact, some of the Lyrans that sought refuge after the Draco War, when the Lyrans were attacked, some of them were actually, because they were still operating with their light body, they were able to colonize Mintaka, which was a watery world, and they were able to mutate their DNA so that they could live in the waters as well as in land. So the Mintakans lived both on land and water before the planet was destroyed in the Galactic Wars. All right, guys, it is about that time. I hope you guys liked this live. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. You could say a prayer. Thank you. I almost forgot. We end our lives with a prayer now.
Thank you all for listening. Please concentrate on these quantum processes. This is meant to energetically upgrade you. Take a deep breath in, center yourself, and you can repeat these words in your mind, or you can agree and accept if you'd like. Connect me to my highest, truest light. Balance my etheric body to 100%. Restore my light body to 100%. Restore my power to 100%. Balance and restore my pain body to 100%. Balance all of my hearts to 100%. Balance all of my relationships with all of my creation's bodies to 100%. Balance my relationship with my higher self to 100%. Balance my relationship with this room to